The Royal Collection contains some of the most significant examples of Chinese art in Europe today, and these span a really rich cross-section of material from porcelain to lacquer, jade, silk, all produced in China over many centuries. Today there are about 2,500 works of art of this kind across the current and historic royal residences, where they've played a central role in luxurious palace furnishing. The first British embassy was sent to China in 1792, and it aimed to negotiate a treaty of friendship and commerce between George III and the Emperor Qianlong. George III dispatched members of the embassy with gifts for the emperor, including a telescope, a planetarium, and specimens of items for trade. In return, the Emperor Qianlong sent to George III some of the most outstanding Chinese works in the collection today.
This box was selected as part of a diplomatic gift by Emperor Qianlong, together with other materials such as jade and porcelain, to show off the diversity of material and also the craftsmanship in the Imperial workshop. Hundreds of layers of thin lacquers were applied onto a wood or even copper body before carving the design into its surface. And inside the box, there's an imperial inscription, indicate it was of imperial quality and for the precious objects. But we have no idea what kind of precious might have been kept inside. In this case, 5-clawed dragon still remain. When it was given away as a gift, usually one of the claw was removed. So it indicates it's a kind of friendly gesture from Emperor Qianlong to King George III.
One of the most important collectors of Chinese art among the British royal family was George IV, and for over 30 years as Prince and King, he acquired numerous examples of porcelain and of lacquer. He particularly displayed these at his seaside residence, the Royal Pavilion in Brighton, and there he combined them with diverse East Asian material, as well as European approximations of these revered techniques and materials. And in some, they created what we know as chinoiserie, which is a kind of European approximation of the arts of China. One example of the lavish items that George IV acquired and displayed are a series of towering pagodas made of porcelain, the tallest of which are up to 17 foot high. And the pagoda really had become a symbol for Europeans of China because of descriptions of pagodas and sketches that had come back from people residing in Chinese ports. And this, I think, really helped evoke that sense of the Chinese landscape within a royal palace. Behind us, we've got this hanging, which we think might have been sent to Queen Victoria for her Diamond Jubilee in 1897 by the Emperor Guangxu. So I wondered if you could just tell me a little bit, maybe about the motifs, the design that's going on here.
In the middle of this embroidery, you can see a woman in boat, paddle, with another who brandishes 2 swords. Next to the boat, there's a demon clam emerging from the lake. So the story could be adapted from the famous novel during that time, The Journey to the West. Sometimes you can see on the left-hand side, you have a peacock on the rock as a special bird, and also the crane on top that represent the longevity.
So you've got these auspicious motifs, the cranes, the peacocks, and the immortals, but then also these stories from kind of literature, and that nod to the performing arts with the costumes they're wearing. So it seems like a real mix of different arts going on there. So this was sent to Queen Victoria in 1896 by the Emperor Guangxu as a gift presented by the special Chinese ambassador. And it was actually presented to her at Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, which was her seaside residence. So why do we think this might have been selected?
Inscription underneath this imperial porcelain indicate it was particularly made for a palace of greater elegance, which is located by the rear part of the Forbidden City next to the Imperial Garden. And the decoration on this plate, you can see is decorated with 5-clawed dragon, which is symbolic for emperor only.
For King George V and Queen Mary's coronation in 1911, the Emperor Puyi sent them 2 momentous vases as a coronation gift.
In total, there are 9 dragons on this vase. 9 is highest art number and represent monarchy in China. The size and also the delicate design and the craftsmanship can only achieve during the Qianlong's time, that is 18th century. When they were presented by the last Emperor Puyi in 1911, it was almost 200 years old antique.
So what we've got here are a few examples from Queen Mary's collection, and she was a real lover of hard stone carvings in particular.
Chinese have very broad definition on jade that includes every kind of beautiful stone. So in Chinese history and also their tradition, these different type of rock, they all count as jade family. Chinese are obsessed with jade because they believe jade is kind of durable stone, beautiful stone. They possess magical power, so they can protect your body from harm. And also, if you drink the liquid or the tea from utensil made of jade, they might prolong the life.
Queen Mary's love for Chinese art has a real legacy today, and that can be seen in the yellow drawing room at Buckingham Palace, where it's hung with yellow wallpaper, hand-painted in China, with flowers and scenes of birds and so on. And this had been brought to Britain probably in the early 19th century and hung in the Royal Pavilion in Brighton. But after it was taken down, it languished in store for maybe over half a century. And it was only after Queen Mary rediscovered it shortly after the First World War and had it hung here again in this room that it was able to be seen again. And so we've got this amazing visual record, quite literally on the walls of Buckingham Palace, of the interest and interaction between Britain and China.
This collection covered the period when China began to establish political relationship with Britain. And also it was a time for the first wave of globalization.
So I guess you've got that combination, haven't you, of all of the artistic innovation, but also this kind of turning point moment where Britain and China are really starting to relate diplomatically. And so we've got that amazing provenance of the relationship between the two courts of Britain and China,
Yes.
Summed up really in one collection.